A grim night. But a grim night was needed. We lost a few, we did, but it was all for freedom, and we got it. We sent a few men down to the village as well to help. They did good work. The last few folk with their minds still intact all rose up, and they did good. Hit that doctor's place first. Found terrible things. Place reeked of chaos behind closed doors. Strange chemicals, bodies half eaten. We always knew the doctor was keeping secrets. Didn't get him, but well, what we learned at the castle, well, we all were able to put it together, won't we? Those poor souls have been kept alive for far too long, gathering them all and burning them. Finally put them out of their misery. Aye, one or two escaped to the woods, but, well, they won't last long. Same as those so-called priests at the temple. Seems they all cleared out. Good riddance. They were all lost already. Finally, our village is free. Whatever comes next, we'll face it as good folk. Praise Sigmar. Praise his champions as well. This is Red Moon Roleplaying. And so, our heroes leave Wittgendorf behind, return to the River Reich. The next 3 days pass with no incident. Almost unreal, after everything that's happened, to suddenly be back on the river. Peaceful days of nothing but birds and water, occasional fish. But you are back on that stretch. There is only one thing that disturbs this peace, roughly the 3rd day, and that is a funeral. It is considered ill omen to not have a body for a funeral. How can the soul find its way back to Moor? But among riverfolk and sailors, there are, of course, ceremonies to make this less dire. Sometimes the bodies cannot be recovered from the ocean after all. And so, on the Altdorf, you stand, Heynrik, with your mother, the crew of the Barey. Anyone else who would be in attendance can be there too. It's safe to say by this point, Sigfreda and Kruger, you have indeed learned that Heynrik's father did not make it. Apparently he was there in those cells while you were elsewhere. It's a simple ritual, really. A shedding of blood of the family. By doing this into the water, Moor, hopefully, can use that tie of family lineage to seek out lost souls and guide them to his gate. You stand, knife in hand. Only a small prick of the finger, of course. How are you feeling?
There's one very important fact that the others should know. I have gone out of my way to not tell them what happened. So, unless there was a rumor spread around the boat ahead of time or someone had mentioned it, this will be the first moment they actually realize what has happened.
Of course. In fact, I think it's safe to say on that count, only one person saw what happened, and that's Joseph, and he hasn't said a word. So yes, all anyone knows is that your father was there, and he didn't make it.
But that doesn't change, I suppose, the guilt. Obviously, it doesn't make sense if you wrote that on paper, but Heynrik is very much of the had I been faster, had I been better, had I been more clever. Whatever had gotten its talons into him, we could have stopped it before it got that far. And the ritual may only require a single pinprick of blood, but the guilt is more. So when it comes his turn, instead of just poking a finger, he's holding the ritual dagger or knife in one hand and then just grips at the blade with the fullness of his opposite hand. And I think holds it there for an amount of time that Sigfreda would eventually find alarming. Just focusing on that pain and the hot feeling of the blood dripping off of him into the water until someone breaks his fugue state, I think, and calls for the ritual to continue.
That would be your mother, who suddenly sets a very firm hand on your shoulder, implying enough.
And you can see Heinrich's face snap out of it, releasing the knife. Left hand, we'll say, is the one that has been cut, shaking. No sense of how deep the wound is, but still bleeding, I'm assuming profusely. Squeezing that hand shut, and then passing the knife on.
She takes the knife in her own hand. She cuts herself far more measured than you. She simply nods to the water. It's Joseph, of course, who leads the procession. Not unusual. Normally something boat captains do for other boat captains out of respect. Aye. We commit another to your oceans, your seas. We commit the blood of the family, so that he may find his way to you more. May your boatman follow the path and claim another soul to your gates, a soul well deserving. May he rest forever in peace. And everyone bows, says a little prayer to Mor, god of death. And you hear Joseph mutter a smaller prayer to Bogenhauer, the patron god of the River Bogen, what you know he's fond of. What do you do, Sigfreda and Kruger? You've never seen anything like this. Perhaps you've seen funerals, but not like this. They're normally conducted by priests of Mor.
I'm not a terribly religious individual, at least not in the way of practice, as we've established many times, but that doesn't mean I can't stand by in silence and appreciate everyone's solemnity. It is moving, and I'm hoping that I can put all of my assorted griefs into this ceremony. I'm kind of channeling all of my regrets and all of the bodies that I saw into this ritual, and hopefully I will be able to move on just as the people mourning this brave man are able to do so.
I remain quiet and respectful, and I just try to not really be visible here. This isn't a ceremony for me or for, one where I'm supposed to be taking any space, really. I just try to be as supportive as I can of my friend. I reflect upon how suddenly all of this could come to an end. I've always been in situations that have, put me quite close to death. But somehow I've always gotten through it, and it's never... I've never gotten seriously injured. I've never actually been close to death myself, I think. Not really. So I think I probably have still a relationship with death that says that it's not going to happen to me. It's something that happens to other people. But being in a place like this, at a time like this, does make you think that perhaps it could be something that would be close to me as well. I remain silent.
And just like that, the day continues. Heynrik, riverfolk don't have time to dwell on things for too long. There are livelihoods to be living. But as people part, your mother does come to your side. She looks very similar to you, of course. Dark hair, a weathered face. She's had some good experience on the river, many years. She has your eyes, though. At least that's what people looking at her would think. She frowns, looks at your hand, looks at you, Heynrik. So, when are you coming back?
Do you want the honest answer or the hopeful answer?
Honest. I understand why you've been lying to everybody else. Makes sense, but you don't lie to me, son. I can see your eyes. Beyond that lovely smile you've been giving everyone else.
Then, honestly, I don't know.
Well, that's not good enough, is it?
Things have changed. Too fast for me. You remember. You remember the speech you gave me when I told you I was going to go off to dueling school and end up in the court of some duke?
I do.
It was foolish then, and it's foolish now. Look, after what I've seen on the roads, after what you've seen in this castle, there are things in this world more evil than insults at court, and more dangerous than pickpockets and thieves.
Well, lad, I already told you that before you went.
I wish it didn't take Dad for me to believe you.
She pauses, looks out to the water, looks back at you. And yet, even though I thought you a fool, he never did. Not really. Besides, I seem to recall someone telling me that my son was down in a village somewhere right outside some castle walls, and he was gonna come and save everyone. And, well, I didn't believe you could. But you did. So who's the real fool?
Did I? Everyone?
Almost, lad. Almost. She gives you a squeeze on the shoulder. Your father wouldn't want you being lost forever. And I don't want that either. So you gotta deal with what you gotta do. But then you come back, you hear?
The river is in my blood as much as my blood is in the river. You always make your way home. But that's why I don't know when that'll be. I have to go and learn and train, whatever this is. We told the stories about this kind of stuff, but that's what I have to stop. That's what I have to do in the world now, Ma.
Joseph tells me that you're in some sort of trouble. That's still a thing?
I think so.
You're going to be able to sort it out?
I think so.
Well, that's what I want to hear. We're heading back with you all to Altdorf, and then, well, I'm going to get the old dove. Maybe head west. Maybe have a little break. It won't quite be the same on the boat without him. You're welcome to come back any time. I understand if you need to find your way, but just promise me this. No more of this false smiling. That's not my son. It's not the big hero, is it? She smiles.
Oh, even big damn heroes have to listen to their mom, don't they?
They certainly do. Now come on. Got another mooring to fix. Don't think just because you're a big hero you're getting off. I've seen your friends, blessed. I swear that one, the what's his name, a Kruger, doesn't seem to know what he's doing.
Good news for Kruger is he has other talents.
I hope so. At least you got a nice smart lady there.
She does all right. But, well, Mom, I have a captain's orders to attend to.
Ah, you do. You do. And she gives you a firm pat on the shoulder. A few more days pass, and finally you come once again to a reasonably familiar place. First sign of civilization. Kemperbad. There, trades are made. Various goods are sold and bought off. You did collect quite a few interesting things, and before you know it, you're leaving again. Although, Kruger, sadly, you notice just as you're leaving, someone watching the boat. They're trying very, very hard to be subtle about it, but you see him. Happens at the next port as well. You're being watched.
That is unfortunate. Although I suppose, given what has happened at the places we have stopped, well, that's something that would attract some attention. So, well, I wonder who these people are. If I have any kind of opportunity to find out, to perhaps, well, follow them, then I will attempt to do so, but I suppose our journey is fairly focused.
It is. You think you'd have to make a big deal of effort, maybe even be left behind. You also notice they're being very, very careful. They never approach you. They simply maintain a distance, as if all they're doing is just watching you. No messages, no attacks. Who could they be? If you're honest, there's only real one suspect. The people who've been watching you before. Unless you've somehow angered a new foe.
Yes, I just don't want that to be the answer. I had hoped that I had shaken them, but I mean, how could I have?
Yes, you find yourself remembering what the original plan was after all. Everything that happened down in Wickendorf was laying low. You were going to lay low and think what your next move was, and why not help out a friend? It all became far more than that, but yes, while you were there, you were free. But it seems as you get back to civilization, they have not forgotten about you. But they aren't doing anything. Does that mean something? I'm not sure. Then again, you do remember that last lead you got. You were expected in Middenheim. That was the message that was being delivered to you.
Perhaps that is where we will have to go. I mean, I'd hate to disappoint them. Just my luck.
And so, more days pass. Is there anything anyone wishes to do on any of these stops? Again, they're very short and very quick. It seems your final destination is Altdorf once again. But these little villages might have something that interests you. Or are you all keen to just get back to the end of your journey?
I think I'm quite keen to just get to where we are going, especially since we're being watched.
Yeah, the only thing that I'll say is an amount of the income generated from selling off our spoils, I will do my best to squirrel away in parts that I know my mother will find them later, but not at a time where she can refuse to take it or yell at me for giving it to her.
Oh, of course, of course.
Likewise, I think I'm ready to move on. I don't need to... what I intend to do while we travel, providing it is a peaceful journey, is find a way in my thoughts to move on from this. Some people say talking is the best cure. Some people will dope themselves up with medicine. Luckily, I have companions I can talk to, and I have medicine I can dope myself up with. But I think it is probably better for me to think it through. And I'm already fairly certain of the conclusion I need to reach by the time we get to Altdorf or wherever our next stop happens to be.
Well, you certainly have the time, Sigfreda. Again, it's days. And that feeling you had, well, it does get easier as you leave that place. You return to normal villages, normal stops. Some days it's even pleasant on the river. Some days. Still, it finally comes. Some of those passengers do not make it all the way. They leave at other stops. But finally, both boats moor up once again in the great city of Altdorf. And once again, all three of you feel a little irritable. Not sure why, but there is something about the air, something about the stench. Altdorf is irritating for some reason. You're not quite sure why. Still, you pull up at one of the docks and find yourself facing Yosef and the crew. So, here's our stop. We're going to be heading back the way we came. Lads, have you thought a little on just staying on? You're welcome, all three of you, and well, maybe it's best you just keep moving. I know you've said you've seen some of these folks, but, well, maybe they're done with you. Maybe if you just stay away from places like Altdorf. I wouldn't stay at Altdorf. Something in the air here. I don't like it. I won't be staying along.
No, trouble follows us far too closely to risk your hide over it, Uncle.
Ugh. Well, where are you even going? You heading down south, or east, or north?
Can't speak for my friends, but wouldn't you agree we tend less to decide where we go, so much as where we go decides we're needed there?
I roll my eyes behind him at that. It sounds like you are coming back to your usual self. This kind of tautological speaking, the riddles in your sentences. Yeah, this is the man I know.
It's a good sign.
Yeah, that kind of waxing poetical. It actually brings a smile to my face. The further away we get from Wittgendorf, the more normal things feel.
You certainly all feel more refreshed. Those wounds, those fatigues are all gone now. Almost feel like yourselves again.
Heynrik doesn't know what the word tautological means, so he assumes it's a compliment.
Ah, my friends. It doesn't sit right with me just leaving you all here, but, well, I guess that's your lives to live. All right, well, again, my advice, don't stay in Altdorf. I know it's been a while now, but you never know. There might still be some people looking for you for what happened by the docks. And I'd give it a little more time, and again, I don't know. Altdorf's feeling strange these days. I'd head somewhere else if I were you, personally.
Well, we may well do that. Eventually. I think a lot of what we have ahead of us is unknown, much as Heynrik was saying. We'll be taken on the tide, won't we? But it is strange. I feel like part of the reason I felt so listless is perhaps because we were being so strongly beckoned in one direction or another, and it didn't feel like we had control over our destiny. And now, even though we may be waiting for a sign or a command or a message to urge us in a certain direction, the freedom that comes with knowing that your enemy is burned and buried it leaves a void, but I'm looking forward to finding something more decent to fill it. Sorry, I'm more talking to myself, but I'm working through these things, you see. I give a smile, it's a genuine one.
Joseph comes up to you, Sigfreda, and attempts to give you a hug. I'm gonna miss you, lass. It's been good having someone around here with brains. Walder looks slightly offended at that statement, but lets it pass.
Well, I'll miss you as well, Joseph. Just don't forget to keep applying the ointment.
Yeah, I will. Hey, Kruger! Look at you. When you first got on my boat, I said, look at him. He doesn't know what he's doing. He still don't. But at least you've been trying. Good on you, lad. Good on you.
Well, I've gotten a completely new level of appreciation for what life on a boat is like, and I now know what I will never be good at, and that is not a bad thing to have learned. Thank you for the opportunity.
And Heynrik, lad. He leans in and whispers a little. Sorry I couldn't do more, but you gotta give me some credit. You did almost everything I said you would. That's gotta count for something, right?
You did everything and more. Look, there's only one person in this family who's allowed to understate their accomplishments these days, and that's me. You can have that job when I'm dead.
Hopefully a long time coming, lad. I still got some sea air in me. And he shakes your hand. Your mother, more quieter farewell. She gives respectful nods to the others. She simply gives you a knowing look. You've said what you needed to say to her. And so she gets her boat and begins to sail off. Grim gives everyone a nod. Oi. Find your ways. All of you.
I just nod to him.
We're not the Imperial Navy. No sense sitting in port. We'll find our adventure.
And finally, Walder. She gives you a bit of a sigh, a bit of a nod. I still feel some of that would have been easier if you'd been honest from the start, but... Well, past is the past. And you did save all our lives, Heynrik, so I guess you're owed one. Hope you three are safe.
It's a fair trade among river folk, huh?
Aye, fair trade indeed. Alright, I guess I gotta look after those two. And good luck, I guess, with whatever happens next. Let us know. Again, if you ever need to come back by the boat, we pass this route, you know the route. A boat will be there for you.
I know I appreciate it, but I'm going to have to teach my friends a little more about seamanship before we try another run.
Sigfreda, take care of these two, eh? And yourself.
Oh, I will do my level best. I think I have a means of doing so now. Things are becoming clearer to me.
And you make your farewells. And both the old dove and the Barey sail down the water. And for the first time in a while, it is only you three. On the docks of Altdorf, surrounded by noise, someone's shouting at someone, someone's yelling at someone else. There's a town crier, lots of people yelling at them, lots of people yelling and being angry and hostile. How do the three of you feel?
I say to Daz, it's that miasma, isn't it? It's that again. It makes everyone upset.
Yes, I have to say, Kruger, and I, not to dismiss my original theories and everything I've been taught and read about, but I'm beginning to wonder about the spread of disease and how it may not simply be down to inclement odours in the air. I've spent a lot of time on the river reading. After all, I picked up a number of pretty good books, if you recall, on anatomy, on disease and so on. I'm wondering if the miasma's behind it at all.
Oh. What do you think might be behind it then?
Well, there are conflicting theories, I say, as we're walking, and thank goodness the ground is no longer moving beneath our feet. I will miss the people, but I won't miss the water. There are conflicting theories. Some believe disease comes through the air, like the miasma. Some believe it is coming through water, which is why so many in cities drink only gin. Others say it is in the blood, but not everyone who bears a disease has an open wound on them. And so I have an alternative theory I may come to pursue.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
After everything I've seen, especially in Wittgendorf, I am wondering now, and I'm not sold on the idea entirely, but I am wondering if disease is not some physical manifestation of chaos in the soul. Or, if you do not wish to go that spiritual, in the mind. Like an aberration that manifests because one is thinking chaotic thoughts or has pursued chaotic deeds, that the body rejects such behaviour. And I'm not necessarily going to go as far as to say that it is the means of God's, or all God's punishment, but whether it is in fact internalized, and the body needs to be regulated, and the system needs to be ordered, and by doing chaotic deeds, you make yourself more susceptible to illness and malady. If there was a way of extracting that from a body, maybe with a scalpel or knife or medicine, or any kind of device, apparatus, clamps, pumps, and so forth, if there was a way of removing the chaos from the body, that could potentially prevent the infection.
Oh, at this point, Heynrik and Sigfreda are having a role reversal, because before it was, oh, Heynrik's being back to quippy, so I can smile, and now Heynrik is, oh, Sigfreda's back to extracting bodily fluids and autopsies. Everything's back to normal. So he doesn't understand. I don't understand a word of the theory. That is just going in one ear and out the other. But the mood, there's an approving nod.
I too smile.
And for a moment, maybe there's some calm, but again, it's interrupted by all this noise. Everyone around you is so busy. Someone shoves right past you, in fact. Kruger. And what's that town crier saying? Something, what's that? Graf Boris Todbringer, Elector Count of Middenheim, summoned immediately to the capital! Immediately! That gets a lot of people angry. Elector Count of Middenheim. Interesting. And then, is someone watching you again, Kruger? Of course they are. And then they're gone. You suddenly feel very paranoid. How many people here are watching you? Is someone going to stab you in a moment? You suddenly feel this dread come over you as you're trying to relax. Such a crowded place, anyone could come and stab you or pass you a hidden note here.
Yeah, it's worrying. I keep my eyes open. I mean, I know the streets again, so I try to be vigilant to whatever threats may be awaiting. But it is difficult. There's so many people around.
So many people indeed. What do the three of you do? You're alone in Altdorf. Is there anything you can do? Of course, the answer is anything. You could go and live your lives. Maybe you could go to an arena, Heynrik, and make some money. Maybe you could do some doctoring, Sigfreda. Maybe you could find a gang. Or maybe you could just leave and take a coach to Marienburg, or go to Bretonia, or Kislev. Or, well, there's Middenheim, where you're expected. All three of you also remember suddenly that thing you met. That thing you couldn't explain. Saying something along the lines of, you could run, but it would find you eventually if you did, and it wouldn't be happy. So, what do the three of you do?
Well, we shouldn't be too late for an appointment, but I have a port of call I wish to make in Altdorf that I think will support my progression from the trauma that I've been through. I need to find, if there is a physician's guild house, or better, a high doctor with a surgery and full accreditation. This is what drove me forward originally, to become a physician, to see myself officially in the role of mendicant for the people, those who were sick and suffering, and that trajectory was diverted by all of the evil and wrongness that we encountered. But I feel like I can try again. I have seen much, experimented much, experienced much, and I think I'm ready to advance. Physician wasn't going to work out. The reason I'm not altogether where I should be is because I sold myself short. I stopped short of my full potential. I need to be a doctor. I don't just need to be able to practice medicine. I need to come up with medicine. I need to develop new surgeries. I need to diagnose new illnesses. And I need people to know to come to me to be well, and not just treat people who have fallen on the road and perform meatball surgery on disemboweled aristocrats, as impressive as that was. I remember it well. So yes, I need to find a guild, or a guild member, because I need a new sponsorship. The life of a doctor is the life for me.
Indeed, and of course you will find this. This is Altdorf. It's the finest guild in the entire empire. The finest physicians are trained there. But, well, you can walk up and just get a sponsor, can't you? That won't take too long, maybe.
Oh, I have every means and mode of persuading them that I am fully qualified.
Will you two accompany Sigfreda on a journey to the Physicians' Guild?
Yeah. Gotta make sure that she's safe.
Very well then. You make your way through the bustle and hustle of Altdorf to the official Physicians' Guild guild house. You walk up to the desk, and you are met by a man with long spectacles. Hello, yes, what, your appointment?
Greetings, I place my seal marking me as a member of the Physicians' Guild in front of him. I smile.
Interesting. Your fee isn't due for another 7 months.
Oh, I know. I am here not to pay or be paid. I am here to receive accreditation as a doctor.
Oh, I see. You're... Okay,
Don't worry, I know that you are not the person who would do this for me. Sigfreda is slipping back into her brusque nature when it comes to low-level bureaucrats. It's certainly something she's missed. But she now has a slightly different look about her, the way that she acts. I'm sure Kruger and Heynrik can pick it up. There's something a little more manic. She doesn't blink as often. She's a little more intense. There's obviously still some baggage left over from everything that happened in Wittgendorf as long as the journey has been, but it has cemented in her mind as this is what I've got to do to feel better.
Certainly. Very well. Your papers? Where have you been serving the last few years?
Oh, as far as Wittgendorf.
I don't know where that is. Your papers, please.
The Wittgenstein family, the aristocrats in Wittgendorf.
Wonderful, darling. Very good, very good. Your papers, please.
Don't call me darling, I'm a physician. What are you?
I am a head physician of this department, even though I'm currently on the desk today.
Yes, clearly you are in a place that befits your ability. Now, I am here to tell you of mine. I'm sure you have dealt with doctors that are far more eccentric, dare I say, unusual than myself. I am qualified. I have my books. I place all the books I procured. I have experience in performing surgeries and diagnoses. I have also operated on people afflicted with chaotic taint. And all one of your functionaries has to do is ride a horse to Wittgendorf, if you so wish, to find evidence of my surgeries. Or you can take my word and the fact that I am already an accredited physician. It would be frankly very strange for me to walk up to you and just ask to be made a doctor if I was not qualified. If you need me to perform a surgery on someone waiting that, if you need me to diagnose an illness or indeed concoct a treatment for someone who is ill to prove my worth, I can do that before witnesses. I know that the doctors in Altdorf often perform in an auditorium surrounded by their peers to prove what they are capable of. I am not only capable of doing that, I am excited to do that. But the longer we spend at this desk, the fewer lives I am saving.
Pray forgive me, madam. Your papers will clear everything up. Please, your papers. That includes your current line of service, your sponsor, and your recommendations. After all, as you said, you are worthy of the Physicians Guild of Altdorf, the highest Physicians Guild in the Empire, as you've said, so you surely have the commendations and experience on paper, as opposed to just being someone who's walked off the street. Again, my apologies, your papers will clear everything.
I stare at him. I present the papers I have, which is evidence of my sponsorship and my membership in the guild. I have some scant commendations from what we did way back when in Bogenhafen. And a couple of other places, certainly nothing from Wittgendorf, because anyone I helped there, not that I helped anybody, but anyone I helped there would probably be dead at this point. But it was the first place that sprung to mind. I don't think I ever got those dwarves to write anything about how I helped them with their mysterious vanishing disease. Which is a shame, because that probably would have been quite useful. But I present what I have, and I say, I appreciate, sir, that in the way of paperwork I only have the bare minimum. That references have been hard to come by because most of the people I have treated have been, frankly, poor and unable to write.
Listen, young lady, enough of this attitude. That stops now.
That
stops now, young lady! There's a bit of a disturbance in the whole area as this man gets very angry at you very suddenly, and he himself looks slightly embarrassed for a moment, and then waves people aside. You see some guards suddenly look up, and he goes like, "Listen, just shut up. Now, this is not enough. This is not enough. However, if you are truly all the things you say you are, I'm willing to make a few exceptions. Your guild fees will, of course, need to be increased to cover the tutelage costs, but we may be able to we barely have any openings at the moment, but we might have a place for you. You'll have to be apprenticed, of course, to prove your worth, but we can begin the training. And do you even have dormitory? Do you even have a dress? We're going to have to put you up in one of our barracks.
You will not need to cover my accommodation, sir. I can manage that myself.
Good. He begins filling out some paperwork.
And sir, I lean forward. I do apologise for raising my voice. I am very passionate about medicine and healing people.
That I can clearly see, young lady. Is the element that seems to imply you're above the rules that was irritating. We all follow the law. We all follow rules.
Sir, when I was first brought into this profession by my original master, I was taught that it is the doctor's way to act above everyone else. I apologise, however, that, of course, in speaking to you, I treated you like some low-level functionary, and I am sure that you are more than that. Perhaps to speed things along, I say. You mentioned paying guild fees in advance.
Yes. Do you happen to have 100 gold crowns on you right now?
Oh, certainly not, no.
Well, that would have sped things along. Or, again, if you had papers such as, I don't know, noble peerage, or a proper recommendation. This doctor. Yes. You're very lucky I'm taking it at all.
I am biting my tongue to prevent myself from biting his.
Still, very well then. A week from now, a new term will start. You will attend lessons, you will attend scriptures, you will be apprenticed. And in your case, if you really are as good as you say you are, well, let's see how the year takes you, and perhaps we will see how things go.
A year? I actually look at Heynrik and Kruger. A year?
Oh yes, I'm sorry. Did you think you could skip ahead? Again, it should be years, but apparently you're very good.
She is very good, I say, nodding from the back and then reminding myself that I should try to be quiet here, actually.
Yes, Sigfreda. A year, and you start looking over the paperwork. This isn't paperwork that says you're a doctor. This is training. A year's worth of training and lessons and schooling and... Maybe this wasn't expected.
No. I will look over the paper. I am crumpling it slightly as I grip it, looking at it, feeling like someone who's just been asked to sit an exam, and looking over the questions, I realise I've been studying the wrong part of the textbook. Part of me feels like, well, I'm breaking into a sweat, or tears are going to flow, or I'm going to shake or shout, or my scalpel isn't far away and this man's throat would open very, very easily, but no, that isn't who I am.
The man does mention your look. Keeping in mind, of course, you are licensed to practice on your own account. That is all fine. You can attempt to purchase a property to conduct business from, but I'm afraid to achieve the title of doctor requires a little more work, madam. I'm surprised your mentor did not tell you this.
Sir, I have had many mentors, and they haven't all been great. But I am listening to every word you say, and I am remembering them. And I would like for you to remember that you have said that it would take me at least a year.
It should take longer. You're the one who's saying you can get through all the procedures in a year. And I'm afraid that's only possible if you show those papers. Please tell me the Emperor himself has actually commended you. Then we can get this all done today.
Sir, I am going to have to politely insist that you do not say such obtuse things to me, because I do not feel it is in keeping with our profession and the professional respect we should have for each other. No, of course I have not operated on the Emperor, though, dare I say, if he required an operation, I would be skilled enough to perform it. I will take this paperwork. I will fill it in away from here and away from your gaze.
Something changes in the man suddenly. Some darkness comes over his eyes just for a second. He frowns to himself and then he just remarks, Or I can have the guards escort you out. We are very busy here. If all the accommodations I'm making for you are not acceptable, young doctor, then you can leave.
That's enough. I will pick up the quill from his desk and stab it in his eye.
You pick up that quill and attempt to violently stab this man in the eye. Sadly, there is a table in front of you. He ducks back. What happens next, though, is very immediate. 7 guards begin moving forward very quickly and attempting to manhandle all 3 of you. How do you respond to this? These are the Watch. You could start a fight here. You might end up in serious trouble.
I intend to just grab my paperwork and go limp so that they can carry me out and probably throw me into a ditch.
That is, if you allow it, exactly what happens. You are roughly thrown down the steps of the guild house and onto the street before being given a warning. Right, you lot, that's a fucking warning. More of that and you'll be standing the night in the stocks. Bloody crazy people coming in here. Probably wasn't even a real doctor, exactly. Heynrik and Kruger, how do you react to being manhandled?
I don't fight back. There's too many of them, and don't want to fight the power of Altdorf. That's not a particularly good idea, so I just let it happen.
Yeah, the only difference between that being that Heynrik is careful not to crush his hat as he is escorted out of the building, euphemistically speaking. But for his part, Heynrik finds this hilarious. Not upset at Sigfreda at all, just enjoying the show, even as it is presented in tumble vision down the stairs. And I think as the 3 of them are laying there as people are kind of clawing their way back up, I can make the joke that, with our luck, operating on the Emperor, that actually shouldn't be that hard to come by.
Intuition roll, please. No difficulty.
I fail miserably.
I also fail.
It's a 46 over 44. Alas, I am not helpful.
I mean, you guessed that went how you expected, really. Yes, good old Sigfreda. Even you, Sigfreda, think to yourself, maybe that was purely the result of you being a bit snippy. Maybe it was a bit of an abrupt reaction, but, well, maybe that's all that was going on there. And you find yourself out on the street. Sigfreda, what's going through your mind? The only thing that seems to stick, and you can tell me how you feel about this, is it will be quicker with money or peerage. How do you feel about that?
I am in a black mood. If he hadn't treated us so poorly, I'm sure I would have been able to maintain my politeness. Money. We do not have enough of it. That's what we've been chasing for so damn long. When it comes to peerage, the best response I got... I'm picking myself up from the dirt now and tucking my paperwork back into my scroll case. The best results, the best response I ever received was when I bound that man's intestines up and saved him. All the odds were against him. He had lost a lot of blood, he was losing his guts, and somehow I saved him. And really that's what allowed me to become a physician, and not simply an apprentice. Probably, again, faster than most people manage. So perhaps to become a doctor Yes, peerage, not marrying into the peerage or getting recognised as a noble, though that's certainly a possibility. I've got no desire to do either. But this man, he did say, operate on the Emperor.
That could certainly be a goal. Or, being realistic, anyone else, any noble would do, really.
Any noble. If a noble, I find them injured or sick, or if that is unlikely because they probably already got their own doctors, if I can engineer an injury or sickness and treat them for it, then a doctor am I.
Indeed. And of course, you do still have the paperwork on you, which, if you want, is the life of a studious physician in the city of Altdorf, although again, a year, and you find yourself looking at your friends. Yes, it seems Sigfreda might be able to achieve her dreams, but, well, what about you two? And what about other things? Again, is someone watching you from an alleyway right now, Kruger? They're gone again. Damn it.
I'm going to need to find out who it is that's keeping tabs on us. I look to Sigfreda and to Heynrik, and I say, you have probably already noticed it, but we are being watched, and we have been watched at every stop. I think they might be after me. I think. We best be careful.
Are you thinking this is the old purple hand bit, or is this a known thing that's followed you?
No, I think this is the more recent developments with the purple hand and caster Libering and all that. Yeah.
Well, we've handled them once or twice before. What's the worst that could happen? Heynrik says, knowing full well the worst that could happen.
I like your attitude. I wish I could be as confident as you are. We'll manage. We have managed, as you say. We have gotten through a lot. We can manage this too, but we just best be careful. That's all I'm saying. And I look to Sigfreda. So, what now? Is there any way we can help you with your career advancement?
No, I think I need to think about it sometime, but I do appreciate it. I'm so sorry that I got you thrown down the stairs. I feel like it's not the first time. I don't do well with people who work behind desks.
I seem to remember this happening on a number of occasions. If you need any help talking to low-level functionaries, well, perhaps me and Heynrik could be of assistance. Don't hesitate to ask.
I dare say you'd probably be better at it than I am.
If nothing else, to break the tension, Heynrik will slightly change the topic. Do you remember the last time we were here, and I tried to go high-five the Emperor?
Yes.
What a prick I was.
And as you say that, you hear the sound of the crossbow bolt go off. Just past your ear. You freeze for a moment, and then it's over, and you see a bolt just a few centimeters in front of you on the ground. It seems to have some paper on it. You all look around, all three of you, startled, but you don't see anybody. But it is so busy, so crowded, and there are great buildings here with several floors. How are you feeling, Heynrik? Did that miss you, or was that intentional?
I don't know. I don't think I even noticed the crossbow bolt. Once I hear the impact, I assume it missed, and then because Altdorf is an open carry city-state, I am hand on blade spinning around looking.
I'll reach down to the bolt on the ground and the thing that's tied to it. Clearly there's a message being sent.
A purple handprint, and under it a few words. You can't read them, of course.
I'll show them to Sigfreda.
Sigfreda, the note simply says, "Time's almost up."
Yeah, well, tells us our time is almost up.
I have to go to Middenheim, don't I?
We have to go to Middenheim.
Yes, I don't think this guild is going to be accepting me anytime soon. though I have come up with a rather fantastic idea while staring at that crossbow bolt in the ground.
Well, our journey continues, friends. On to Middenheim.
Indeed.
It certainly makes sense when you really think about it, Kruger. They said, come to Middenheim. They'll be in Middenheim. And they can't get away from you if you're meeting them, right? They'll have to encounter you somehow. Maybe finally you can get some answers and get this sorted. But yes, all three of you look around the streets of Altdorf, and you feel unwelcome. You feel hostility. Perhaps this isn't the place to get answers just yet. But Middenheim? Well, that's an entirely different place. Maybe things will go better there. What are your final thoughts as the three of you attempt to organise a coach to Middenheim? It's about 6 days on the road. You know exactly how long it takes because you've all done the journey before.
Well, I'm not one for walking, but I am one for frugality. Would it be cheaper to secure a pack animal or a few horses?
Not at all. They don't rent those out, you have to buy those.
Ah, well, it's a horse. What could it cost? 5 or 6 gold crowns?
And that might get quite pricey. You could all ride on one horse, but that's going to be a very uncomfortable journey. But you could look into it. But off the top of your head, you're pretty sure that would be more expensive than a coach. After all, the coaches do want people to use them.
We can barter as blades, right? A free caravan guard, maybe some labor. We have a way of getting what we want.
Yes. And, my friends, I have had a revelation. The Wittgenstein family. No one knows they're dead, aside from the people of that village. Before we leave Altdorf, I wish to send a message back to our friends in Wittgendorf. I am going to be the second person in our party to assume another identity. Maybe, possibly, I'll think on it. Peerage. It's a lot easier to become a doctor if you're an aristocrat. I'm wondering if maybe I should become the, at least in name, ruler of Wittgendorf. Thinking on it. Eyes still wide open, slightly wild.
I just look at Sigfreda with amazement in my eyes.
This is exactly the kind of adventure I signed up for all those weeks and months ago.
And so, for now we will leave our three heroes with their grand schemes, as they get lost to the crowds of Altdorf. But it does seem as if maybe Middenheim is where the future truly lies.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we play the legendary campaign The Enemy Within for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th Edition, published by Cubicle 7. In this third part of the series, we are tackling Power Behind the Throne. Joining us as players in this series are none other than Aaron Hammonds from Queen's Court Games and our dear friend Matthew Dawkins. The music was made by Flowers for Body Snatchers, Wordclock, Metatron Omega, Aegersonus, Apocryphus, Halgrath, and Northumbria, featuring a number of collaborations with other artists, and was used with permission from their label Cryochamber. Check out their website at cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for some moody dark ambient for your gaming table. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon, Martin Heuschober, Simon Cooper, David, Julia, Camilla, Bob Lange, Cameron, Antxon, and Graham Barey for their generous support. And we'd of course also like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, the show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to bonus campaigns for Cult of Indy Lost and Coriolis there, as well as get early and raw access to all of our recordings. You can also hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as play Cult with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. Thank you again for listening, and remember that Skaven are definitely not real. Except, well, who's gonna believe you? Never mind.